With over 30 hours in PlayStation VR2 No Man's Sky, and an additional 8 hours since the update, I think it's now time to tell you about my experiences and my impressions about how this game is now in VR2. The first thing I'd say is to make sure that you've got your settings correct, go back into the PlayStation setup mode, and make sure the headset is sitting correctly on your head. You can actually see me fiddling with the headset right now. Another great thing is you can actually see how the headset is functioning. If you look around the edges of the footage, you can see the pixelization. They brought into focus the bit that you're looking at, and all the edges, your peripheral vision, is all pixelated in blood, which means the area where you're most focused is super sharp, and when I say sharp, I mean super sharp. So when I go up to that tree, the detail on it is incredible. Of course, that also means when you pull out things like your multi-tool or your new staff that I've got here, you do find yourself being distracted by the detailing. But I do hope they change the grip position on the staffs in the future. Yeah, I know it's a difficult thing to work out, but when they sort out the coding, that is going to be amazing too. And yes, that's a minor gripe. But yep, that's the staff. But let's go and have a look at these new multi-tools. And there it is. And it looks quite amazing, but there's more to it than that. When I press the fire, look at the little wheel in the centre, it's spinning round. I had to bring it closer to my face just to look at the detailing of it. And the pulsating magazine pack looks amazing too. Look at that, that's incredible. And the way the little sphere pulsates and the little crackle around it, wow. Yes, you find yourself getting distracted by the little details. And the way the beam comes out at the end, whoa. I found this quite interesting. The area in front of me is quite barren, but everything over on the horizon, that all rendered fantastically. And when I turned round to look at the archive, the detailing on the archive, in fact the whole archive itself, did blow me away. In fact, it was so detailed. It felt better than it did in flat mode. But to really test it, let's go to one of my massive bases. As I walked in, the detailing is just slightly lower, and if you've got good peripheral vision, the text inside is a bit blurry, but that would be true in any VR game. And the hit bubble around this glass tube is slightly off, but as I'm using it for something not quite intended, I can't really criticise that. But as I go into this room, you can see the auto select, the black box. I wish I knew how to turn that off. If it's not an option right now, I hope Hello Games changes it so it is. And when I slowly move left and right, you can see a slight stuttering. I'll come back to that later and have a little bit more detail. It's not as bad as you think. At this point, the headset was not quite sitting on my head properly, which helped me see the focal point eye tracking in the game better. And because I got good peripheral vision, I could easily see the central focal point and how things were slightly blurry to the side. Which tells me with a minor update, just to adjust it slightly, it's going to knock things out of the park. Because remember, this is a massive base and there's a lot of stuff being rendered. So when I get close to these stairs, it comes into such sharp focus. And that's the irony, isn't it? When they improve it so much, you start to notice this minor details more. And when I spin round and look at my chandelier, and there's a lot of parts inside that chandelier, but it does show how the game is rendering it. Because when you look around the edge, you can see how blurry it is. But what I was experiencing was astounding. As the chandelier itself draws in your focus, I didn't notice the extra blurriness around the edges. As I head outside, I noticed something about the flooring too. It was slightly off colour and shading, and yes, it's a glitch build, but again, because they've improved things so much, minor details stand out. But the door was absolutely fantastic, it rendered so beautifully. But the outside test, from a massive complex base like this, shows how the game is processing all this data to make sure the base itself is rendered perfectly. On one of the few occasions itself has not been caught in the footage, the planet from the medium to the horizon is blurry, very blurry. But I fully understand why they had to make this compromise. The handful of other VR games that I've played haven't been open world or even allowed this much freedom, and you certainly can't make massive bases like this. They're all small maps, so they pull in a lot less data. And when I'm at this other very complex base, which has the addition of extreme storms, the detailing of the base itself is slightly reduced, and things in the middle distance are a bit blurry, but still a way lot better than it was before the update. But in this case, the horizon looks fantastic. That planet in the distance really caught my attention. And when the storm came in, and obviously there's a lot more stuff for the game to process, including my massive base, the quality and the detail did drop a bit, but still better than it was before the update. And I feel this is a minor issue and can easily be fixed with a few little adjustments. I say that, but the person that has to do that at Hello Games is probably a little bit upset of me saying minor adjustments. which takes me back to the slow turn stutter that I experienced earlier. It's something Captain Steve has experienced quite a lot of in his gameplay, and because of the immersive nature of VR, it's going to affect certain people more intensely than others. And as it's improved so dramatically, these things stand out a lot more. And yes, it does feel like a frame rate drop, but I don't think that's what it is, as I'm getting it to trigger on this Paradise planet, and it only seems to be an issue when you slowly turn. And as they've just brought in the eye tracking focal area, I feel they've just got to find that balance between the focus and the blur. But that's the point really, when I get things so good, minor issues start to stand out a lot more and become major issues. And when I get close to the archive, all those issues disappear. But I'll go into detail at the end of the video why this gives me a lot of hope, because I want to quickly cover the changes to the flying in the game. You can now change the ship stick preferences from turn to roll, and I've also added ship stick twist, which means you can easily roll your ship now, and when you twist the stick, it turns really easily. This gives you an immense amount of control over flying. It also means if you turn the wrong thing on and off, it gives you less control. So it will take a little bit of time and effort to adjust to, but once you have, you're going to be one hell of a ship fighter. So I'll stick to the normal settings now until I've adjusted. But it's time to go and visit the Anomaly. Oh yes, and when you're inside your ship and you're in space, it's amazing. The detail is up there with the flat mode. And for those that didn't know, if you go in scan mode inside the Anomaly, you can pull out your weapon or your stick in this case. And for me, that's a lot more fun than you think. It's a harmless process, you can't really do anything. But it's a favourite pastime of me and Damash's. Especially asking for people for stuff with your multi-tool. But no one seems to be wanting to play with me tonight, so let's move on. I've been, like most of you, in the Anomaly a million times. And I've been near this desk or walked past it so many times as well. But in VR, it really stood out. In fact, the whole Anomaly stands out incredibly. When you're in places like the Anomaly or space stations, you're going to be blown away. It renders so well, and I found myself standing around just taking in the atmosphere quite a lot. But there is a minor issue with some of the items in the game. As you can see with my character, I've got a blend of some robot parts and Kovacs parts. So when I go into camera mode and turn the camera on myself, I'm missing the chest armor piece. These are minor issues and I'm sure they'll get fixed very soon. So in VR, when it comes to new contents, the little things sometimes get missed. But I do like the fact that I can move my hands around when I'm in camera mode in VR. Look at that guy there, I think he's got a really bad internet connection. But anyway, my thoughts and conclusion about the new VR2 update. It is an amazing update, truly is. The rise in quality is astounding, and I didn't actually think they'd get it up to this standard for such an open world game. But there's an irony of getting the quality up that high. I feel for some people, minor issues start becoming immersive breaking. But I think with a couple of more patches, and one more major update, this will be the best VR2 experience out there. Yes, some people prefer linear games, with less sandboxy elements to it, but it means that other developers' only excuse for not making a VR version of the game would be financial, as Hello Games has shown what's possible, and there really does need to be more VR2 games out there. And when talking to other developers, the simple response should be, Hello Games did it with No Man's Sky, why can't you? I hope you liked the video, and if you did, hit that like and subscribe button, or on the bell thingy. And of course, thank you for watching. See you all later.